In the heart of West Philadelphia, on May 13, 1985, the city of brotherly love committed one of the most shocking acts of domestic violence in modern American history. That day, the Philadelphia Police Department dropped a bomb on a residential row house occupied by members of the Black liberation group known as MOVE. The resulting explosion and fire killed 11 people, including 5 children, and destroyed over 60 homes. Here's how it happened. MOVE was a radical, back-to-nature group founded in the early 1970s by a man who took the name John Africa. The group promoted a lifestyle that rejected modern technology, embraced environmentalism, and vehemently opposed government authority, police, and what they saw as systemic oppression, especially against Black communities. Members of the group all took the last name Africa and lived communally, often in fortified homes. They were known for their dreadlocks, armed self-defense, and loudspeakers used to broadcast their ideology day and night. The group's militant posture led to escalating tensions with city officials and police. In 1978, during a standoff at their Powelton Village home, a violent raid resulted in the death of a police officer, James Ramp. MOVE members claimed they were under siege and acted in self-defense. Nevertheless, 9 members were convicted and sentenced to long prison terms. That event set a precedent for future conflict and deeply polarized the public perception of MOVE. By the early 1980s, MOVE had resettled at 6221 Osage Avenue in West Philadelphia. This time, the neighborhood was a quiet, working-class Black community, and many residents were frustrated by the group's presence. They complained about barricaded windows, armed members, constant loudspeaker broadcasts, and trash and debris around the house. City officials under newly elected Mayor Wilson Goode, the first Black mayor of Philadelphia, were under pressure to act. Arrest warrants were issued for several MOVE members on charges ranging from weapons violations to parole breaches. On May 13, 1985, police surrounded the MOVE compound with nearly 500 officers. When MOVE members refused to surrender, a shootout broke out. Police used tear gas, floodlights, and thousands of rounds of ammunition. Still, the group held their ground. That evening, in an extraordinary decision, police dropped a satchel bomb from a helicopter onto the rooftop of the house. The explosives, provided by the FBI, contained a mixture of C4 and Tovex, materials typically used in military demolitions. The bomb exploded and ignited a fire. Shockingly, police and fire officials let the fire burn. Their stated intention was to allow the blaze to destroy the fortified bunker on the roof. But the fire spread quickly, engulfing the entire block. Fire crews were told to let the fire burn. When it was over, 11 people were dead, including MOVE founder John Africa and 5 children, and 61 homes were reduced to rubble. The public response was immediate and intense. How could a city bomb its own neighborhood? Why was lethal force used against a group already surrounded and outgunned? An independent commission, the MOVE Commission, later called the city's actions reckless, ill-conceived, and unconscionable. Yet no criminal charges were filed against the mayor, police commissioner, or any other city officials involved in the attack. Lawsuits followed. In 1996, a jury awarded $1.5 million to a MOVE survivor and relatives of 2 victims. In 2005, the city paid $12.83 million to displaced Osage Avenue residents whose homes were destroyed. But the deeper emotional and psychological damage never healed. For many, The Move bombing was not only a tragedy, but a glaring symbol of systemic disregard for Black lives. In a disturbing development decades later, in 2021, it was revealed that the University of Pennsylvania and Princeton University had retained bones of two children killed in the bombing, without the consent of their families. The news sparked renewed outrage and raised serious ethical questions about institutional racism in academia and beyond. Today, the Move bombing stands as a painful reminder of what happens when government power goes unchecked, when dissent is met with military force, and when entire communities are dehumanized. The ruins of Osage Avenue may be gone, but the trauma remains. Move still exists, and its surviving members continue to speak out, reminding the world of what happened on that day in 1985, and why it must never be allowed to happen again.